I'm going to place the pen here. I'm going to count to 3, and when I count to 3, you're going to try and grab this pen. And whoever gets this pen first wins. I want one hand on the wall. I want to get this nice and fair. Us as you as people, this as people. So commit to this whole one hand on the wall, please. No one getting a false start. And I'm going to count to 3, and then you're going to grab it. On 3. None of these 2.5. None of these 2.5. So it's on 3. Okay. On 3 or is there a go? It's going to be on 3. Okay. So 1, 2. And look at what it did to all of us. You were so there. You were so there. Obviously, I'm going to get it. You will never have this pen. This is my pen. I brought it from home. It is the stupidest, simplest thing, but just remember what that did to your body and to all of you. Like, right, I'm going to do this. I can do this. You knew the rules, and you knew what you wanted, and that was a very simple objective. What would you have done if we all run on 3? Like Bob or Max? I would have let out a very manly scream. Exited probably by that door, I suspect. So, we're going to take it in turns. What I'd like to ask you all to come and take a number out of this hat, and do not show anyone the number that you take. You know your status. You know whether you are the lowest rung or the highest rung. The job of you is to find out, is to A, act according to that status, but also to have an eye on who's top dog in this room, who's bottom, who's in the middle, where do I fit in this hierarchy. And so what I'd like you to imagine is that you are the kitchen staff in a restaurant.
I don't pay you lot to sit in your arses! Fucking hurry up! Jesus Christ, how the hell do we get a Michelin star with this idiot?
We've identified these kind of basic points that we think are our character, these basic points of view that we think are our character, and whether we can find a sort of inspiration or something to identify with. And what I'd like to try and do is to see if we can find something in the animal kingdom that maybe we identify our character to. And potentially this is easier for some than others, or maybe they have to think outside the box and not rest on the obvious. But what I would like to do then is if I could have the mechanicals over here, please. If I could have the lovers and nobles in the middle, and if I could have the fairies over here. What we're doing here is finding a way that we can come up with our own ideas, our own language for ideas, so that when we're in a room, we have this. We have, I had this great idea, and actually we'd work really well together and it would relate. And I can take that and keep it I said to a couple of people tonight, we want to all be going down the same river. We all want to be flowing in the same direction. But ultimately, how we choose to swim is anyone's, game. So that's what tonight is about, is giving them that kind of language and ability so that we can have this very natural and free-form rehearsal period going forward. Everyone, very silence on the Zoom.
Right, okay, we've got our lions in the enclosure at the end. I've just given them half a wildebeest carcass. Our main lion is less than interested. Looking at it. Yawn from the lioness here. And behind me we have an enclosure of 2 stags in the...
As I said, I'd like to introduce you to our very friendly lion. She's actually a lioness, but she has identity issues. She thinks she's a lion, which is why we give her the false mane to play with. It keeps her happy.
Overall ideas then for this evening are running through that toolkit. So having the idea of you know, what can I learn from the text? Who am I? What am I? What do I think in and of myself? What are my beliefs? Then playing with the idea of how does that build into a series of emotions, and how does that change when I enter into a scene? The idea of units, of the start of the scene, in the middle of the scene, at the end of the scene, that we played with when we were doing the top of the play, middle of the play, end of the play. But you can break it into these units for each scene. So we have that sort of toolkit of building things. We then looked at two other ways of maybe approaching it, that idea of just the backwards and forwards, just with words, and finding a sort of truth and an emotional thing there. And then the other way, which we did just now at the end, is that idea of finding the status and letting the status sort of do the talking for you. So there's lots of different ways, and some of them will work and some of them won't. Some of them will be useful to you, some of them you'll discard, but that's the totality of the toolkit. And as I've been saying to some of you, the idea of rehearsals going forward now is that we can have these thoughts before we go into the rehearsal room about where I think my character is going, why I think I'm going there, who I think is going to get in my way, and who I think is going to help me. And that will help us loads when we're looking at this kind of fairly foreign feeling text and trying to work out where we want to go. I don't really want to have to be in a position where I'm saying, right, you stand on square A and you stand on square B and now shout. We want to get to a point where we feel like, I know what he's going to do and I know what I want to do, so this is actually going to happen. Regardless of, you know, Ben's archaic blocking plot that he's been stressing over for months. No, this is going to happen right here, right now. That's the idea, and we've established a stage which is very open and has a couple of sort of rises that we can easily get up and down on, so that we can play with that, so that we don't have to feel restrained and constrained. We're going to have some moments of set pieces which we've created, some nice images, but the rest of it, the idea is to really just find the truth and the naturalness in it, so that we get something organic. And we're working in our triangles of movement and our choreography and things like that, and building it all together to get this kind of mad vision, this kind of crazy dream. So thank you very much for your dedication throughout these workshops, through all of it. It's been a very long week, and I hope you found it valuable. It's been incredible for me. I've just really enjoyed watching your work. And give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Absolutely fair to say that doing Shakespeare is a good mix of terrifying and thrilling. I think when you get over the language of it, it is at the end of the day, it's the emotions that you're tied to, and I think that's why Shakespeare's kind of lasted as long as it has and as much provenance as it has, because it's something that is still relatable, and it is still something that you can get behind. And so it's really fun just kind of breaking that language down and exploring the characters behind the words a little bit more.
Yeah, it's very scary to think, oh, if I get in a muddle, I'm not going to be able to improv my way out of this one, which is why I think it's so important to kind of really delve into the text and really get a feel for what your character is saying behind all of the kind of flowery language.
Yeah, no, really excited. It's been a really lovely week of workshops. We've done 3 workshops, voice, character and movement. It's been a lot of fun. I think we've all got lots of really good sort of ideas to take into our character now. And we've just got an amazing cast. It's going to be such a great show. I can't wait.